The central topic of this video regards updating retail prices between stores within a multi-store environment. In the diagram you see before you, the multi-store application, which is a central application at each physical on-premise server, has been configured for store 2 as only local pricing. We will explain more as this goes. The other linked stores do not have that only local pricing selected. So in this scenario, store 2 is the central location that management has chosen to update prices. Within TransActPOS, there's utilities such as e-catalog price control, manually changing prices, various ways of changing the retail price, but that occurrence is changed at going on at store 2 in this particular setup. So in this example, what we're going to do is at store 2, we're going to make a change to a price or prices to products. In this example, $89.99 becomes ultimately $99.99 at that store. The desire of the organization is to have this same price appear at store 1 and store 3, which are other linked stores in this multi-store environment. So the behavior of the staff member at store 2, the main store, they will just change their prices. They will manually go change and edit a price under IC, inventory file, and just edit and change the retail price. Simple as that. Or they may go use IC maintenance and do an e-catalog price control. That could be with any of the communicating vendors that have catalogs, True Value, Do It Best, Oracle, etc. And they just simply behave as they always do and change their prices. What is different in a multi-store environment, because of this setting at the top, this store isn't affected by changes that go on at other stores. They are an island of information being pushed out to the other locations. So let's say we finish that process of updating prices at store 2. Question is, how do I get the prices over to store 1 and 3? Well, there's really nothing you do other than I'm going to go to store 1. The user will go to select IC, maintenance, multi-store options, and below that line is price print update. So it's print and update prices. And allows the user to accept all the prices that just came from store 2 and update those prices. In this example, the 89 will now be changed to 99.99. So all they do at store 2 is accept those prices, and they could uncheck, as we'll see in the actual live video. They could jump over some prices if they wanted, or there are some other controls like this price this one locally, this particular product, but there's another setup you do for that at the item level. So as soon as store 2 gets their pricing done, they could contact store 1 and say, hey, I got your prices done. And they go through these steps. Likewise, store 3, they also are the recipient of those price updates. And all they do is go select IC, maintenance, multi-store options, price, print, and update, which then updates their price to the current price. Now, some may ask, well, is this just for e-catalog items? No, this applies also to your lumber products, etc. So if you were over here, back here, changing that lumber price, you would effectively get the price update at either store, the same method. So let's go look at this in a live version. Let me get the setup of my multi-store environment understood by you first. what you see here is a virtual demonstration site for the multi-store environment. Each of these multi-stores are representative of the individual local store. This is representative, this bottom button is the home office. So correlating to the diagram we just saw, the configuration at store 2, which this is different than the other stores in that under file configuration, under config.ini, this location has only local pricing chosen for retail pricing, but also rental. So this particular setup, rarely would you ever come back and change that because that would be changing the nature of the configuration. So the screen you were seeing, the only local pricing is from the multi-store application on the server. So I'll close that out, relaunch that, and then let's go on my screen. I have store 1, store 2, let me close that out. Store 2, again, close that out, and store 3. So I am in a unique position. I can see all 3 stores at the same time. So let's go back to the diagram. As indicated here is that we want to go to store 2, the main store, and change some prices. So let's go do that within the Transact application for store 2. So we are at store 2. Let's go into IC, inventory file. It's just one way of changing prices. And I'll keep it simple. I'll choose that same example that I had. And I'm going to just simply go to edit. We'll change this to 109.99. I'll select save. So that's all this store 2 needs to do is change their prices. Now, I may go jump over to the multi-store environment and rush this on, this being the transfer of information. Here, if I stop the home office, again, this won't be done by you, and then I tell these all to update, that forces those updates instead of waiting on a 2-minute or 5-minute window, it gets it done now. So I will go back to store 1 as we showed in this diagram. Once you get this change done here at store 2, I'm going to move to store 1 and go through this process of choosing IC, maintenance, multi-store options, print, etc. So at store 1, I will go to IC, maintenance. And in the multi-store environment, you have these multi-store options down below the line here, which are not normally in a single store operation. So we're going to choose print, price print update. I'll log in. And I'm going to choose refresh list to the top right. And there is the current price of the 109 that we mentioned earlier. Because at store 1, if we go look at right now, that product, it is sitting at the 89 price, $89.99. But inside here, based on the transfer process of the multi-store environment, it has created this record, and this is going to be correct as far as scooting those numbers around, to the 109.99. So we don't have that price yet here. So again, we got this list refreshed, present in front of us by selecting the refresh list. And I'm going to go ahead and print. I'm going to select all items, and I'm going to, even though it's just one, I'm going to click on check all, and I'm going to choose not previously updated, yeah, which then says, puts this check marks here. And then I'm going to choose down here, update. And if I wanted to print labels for those, I would say print labels for those, choosing the appropriate printer. And in my particular case, I'm going to choose a PDF printer so you can see it. And I'll say print. So presented to us is a label for that 109.99 as was created originally over in store 2 in this case. We came to store 1, we updated prices, and we printed labels. And you can print labels, then update, whichever you choose as far as order. Once this process is completed, we selected it, we printed it, we updated it, so now we're all in good shape. Whether that's 1 or 200 or X, you can process multiple price updates. So now if we go to ring sale, we'll have our 109 price. Now, the process for the other store is going to be identical. So if we go to my store 3 here, there I will do the same process. I'll go to IC, maintenance, print, price print update, refresh. I should have that show up. Now, this particular case, I wonder, why don't I have that price update? If I go to inventory file, if I go to 709, 709, the reason that this particular product did not get a price update is because another facet to pricing is that this store has chosen to say, I want to manage this particular price myself. So as it went, as Transact distributed those prices, it ran across this one, 709, 709 at store 3, and it was not presented on that refreshed list that we just saw because it's not in error, it's on purpose because I wanted to manage that price myself at this store. So in the end, this particular example is very good in that it shows the centralization and distribution from store 1, from store 2. That process. And it also shows the update of store 3. But in the particular case of my data at this moment, because I had at the item level, the localizing of the price, it would not get updated because sometimes you want that control because you have the DG store next to you selling the product at below cost. You want to match that, and that gives you that control. So you can accept all prices that were published out of store 2, but your protected single price would not get updated if that button right there, locally priced on the general tab of that product, were checked, as we saw, would not get updated. Thank you.